Welcome back to another episode of the Explorers Club podcast, also supported by the Portugal News and broadcasted on Lusitania Network. The name just keeps getting longer. But today we're here with Martina Panisi, who is a conservation biologist, an environmental educator, and also, of course, an explorer.
Yeah.
It's so nice to have you here and to have a conversation.
Thank you very much for this podcast and through the Explorers Club. And thank you very much to you for being here.
Yeah, of course. It's my pleasure. I find it so fascinating just to get to know all of these different explorers, because even just the short conversation we had walking around the campus here, there's so much interesting things to go off of. And I guess to start this off, there is something that the explorers showcase that they made about you really highlighted, which I thought was pretty funny. This idea that you work with species that aren't conventionally seen as worthy to be conserved.
Yeah.
So what species is it that you really like to work with?
So I start with the assumption that I feel love and I like every living being. But as soon as you asked to anyone else, like as a child or as an adult, what is your favorite animal? Most of the times, and even for me, the favorite animals that pops up in our mind is an animal that is somehow more likely similar to us, which is reasonable. We are more empathetic and we like more what is more similar to our species, or what is fluffier with two frontal big eyes. This is normally what we are going to like, and there's nothing bad about this. But more than 97% of all the animals are not like this. They are invertebrates. So they are normally crawling with a lot of legs or no legs. They can be a little bit slimy, or we can feel a little bit of fear or weird about them. But because they make most of the animal kingdom, their function in our ecosystems are also very, very important and support life. So if nobody notices them, nobody will know that they are there. And if nobody study them, nobody will protect them. So it's like a cycle. And in conservationists, people that preserve nature, there is also bias. Most of us prefer to protect and study species that are fluffier or more traditionally charismatic. And then the species that are not are less studied and less protected. So yeah, that's where I like to go the most.
Okay.
What is your favorite animal?
My favorite animal? That's a tricky question. Because, especially after what you said now.
No. Yeah, I should have asked before.
I can't just be a seal, No, I think my favorite animal, it's difficult because I think there's so many cool animals in the world. I find fascinating, the first thing that comes to mind, I always liked frogs.
Okay.
As a child, I always would collect frogs from like a small little, small little river we had. And I heard of this frog that just straight up dies in winter and then kind of gets revived after it defreezes.
Okay.
So I found that so fascinating because if we look at the sense of biological, here's an animal whose heart stops beating. It's literally frozen in ice and it stays like that for months. And then when the frost declines, suddenly it's alive again. And that to me is such a mystery also to go against what we think life is or what life needs in order to exist.
Yeah. So that's an example, like you created this connection with an animal and then you started to know more about its story and now you are fascinated. And then maybe if somebody asks you, like, would you like to join and protect this species, you will totally up for it, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
So we want more of this. Like we want more children that can explore animals that are not quite cute, or they can be, but also other species. And when you know fun fact about them, you can feel, okay, this is a totally different life. I cannot be in this state. I don't have this superpower. But there are other animals that don't look like us, but they are amazing superpowers that we don't know about. And if we get to know them, maybe we can get closer to them. So
Then what's your favorite animal superpower?
oh, okay. So I really love that some animals can do parthenogenesis, like they can make clones of themselves. When I was a child, it's like a clone, but they can reproduce just like making a clone, and they don't need to reproduce with another living being. And when I was a child and a teenager, my room was full of invertebrates. And most of these, because they are very easy to keep, are the stick insects. You know, they are these insects that look like sticks, or they can look like leaves, dry leaves, and they are amazing. You can see them like as small eggs, and then these different eggs, like they grow and they have these different shapes just to mimetize it in nature. And some of them, they can do parthenogenesis, so they can clone themselves without the need of a partner, a male. However, it's always useful to have also another individual, a male, to have a combination and to have genetic diversity. So that doesn't work like forever, but it's a very cool fact that can.
That's freaky. I just imagine that also for humans, you know, it's such a strange thing to just be able to like, okay, no, I'll do another one of me.
Yeah, just like, okay, sorry, I have to go to make a clone of me. And invertebrates are very, like they can do things that sometimes are a little bit freaky. When I started to study spiders, I was looking up to this curious fact. And there are some spiders that I found in the desert, the velvet spiders, and the mothers sacrifice themselves for the spiderlings that are the juvenile spiders. So when they are born, they then eat the mother to get the energy to grow up. So normally the female eats the male, and then the spiderlings eat the mother. Okay, enough fun fact about the invertebrates. We can change.
That is crazy. What?
Yeah.
That is so. I mean, of course, in the desert, you also don't have a lot of sources of nourishment.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily in the desert. It's a characteristic of a spider family. But yes, so for the benefit of the species, for the benefit of spiderlings, there is this sacrifice to them, and which is fascinating to me. And okay,
that is no. It's fascinating. I think especially spiders, right,
Mhm.
which is something that you studied a lot, it's so hated by humanity in a way.
Yeah.
Like everyone's like, oh no, spiders. But what an interesting creature.
And it's not just hated. It depends on. So another things that I do is working with people from different continents and understand better what is the relationship with animals, and what I like the most with these freaky or invertebrates with different animals. And we did a study in the desert through Biopolis, the place I work here, which was to understand how people use and perceive the animals in the desert. And for the spiders, people are afraid. It's normal. But also the spider is an animal that is featured in the Quran, so the Holy Book. And the spider has helped the Prophet Muhammad before. So there is this duality in which spiders are feared sometimes, but also they are respected if people know about this in the Quran.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So of course there's a lot of also religious and sociological context to this.
Yeah, it can have different importance, different meaning according to if it's to the profitable use of the animal, social, the cultural or spiritual religion has a lot of influence. So, or just the way you perceive them when you are a child. When you are not, you don't have anything else that is influencing you. This also counts a lot, how you perceive the animal. What do you think about it? Like, how do you create connection? You created connection with frogs. When I was a child, I created snails and spiders, and now I'm studying them. So, yeah.
Yeah, fascinating. So I also like that you have an approach to it that also is very much focused on the human side
Yeah.
and kind of the animals. And I read that you kind of also consider yourself a translator of sorts in order to kind of, bridge the gap. And how would you say that process goes? And what's your favorite communication between animal and human, perhaps?
Oh, okay. So the first part, the translator part, is in a way that I just have tools to do socio-ecological studies. But then who is implementing them are the people that live in the place that in this case is our study areas. So normally I do work with a local team, and they are the one developing the work, but we implement it together. So we have a work before to understand how are we going to understand this question, which tools are we going to use, focus group discussions, interviews, or workshops. It depends on the public or what we want to understand with our question. And then they do implement it. And when we come back, we brainstorm and we understand what we have, what are the results. And then these results can be disseminated to other people that are not familiar with this contest. So that is the translation part. Another part is to understand the ecological context. So as a biologist and my colleagues that are biologists, ecologists, we can understand both parts, the social part and the ecological part. And only when we have these both components, we can have a more holistic understanding of what is going on in this area. And my favorite interaction is when a child or even an adult see an animal that normally is not really appreciated, or it has a bad connotation associated to it with other eyes. When they see these animals and understand, okay, this animal as well as his own favorite places, favorite food, his own behavior, it has some similarity with me. It starts to create a connection, and then I see in their eyes that I don't know, something changed, like they start to be curious about these animals, and the relationship change. There starts to be respect. This is also a living being. It's living with me. It's my neighbor. It has his own daily life. This is what he does. Wakes up. This, do this, that. So that's my favorite interaction, where there is this switch.
Mm-hmm. Okay, like this deeper feeling between animal and human, and like this observational aspect to it.
Yeah, without the other animals and ourselves also animals. So we are also part of nature. We're also animals. It's just like we are very self-centered as a species, and sometimes we forget to understand that we are never alone. There's always another species around us, living, cohabiting with us in the same space. And when you talk to a child, normally you go down to his level to make sure that you are understanding each other. So that's the same thing. You have to go down to the level or up, it depends where it is, and try to look at the world the same way they do and understand better. And if you don't, it's difficult to create this empathy to understand each other's.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, even here, we're surrounded by cicadas and airplanes, so a lot of different species go around here, like some
Yeah.
man-created and others are more blessing us with their natural sounds.
Yeah.
And I find it very fascinating, especially, I mean, the picture that just really stood out to me that I've seen of you is just with this gigantic
Yeah,
snail
the
on your
snail.
head.
There's a spider here as well.
Okay.
No, it's not like...
You had me for a second. Just being like, here, I just brought my pet spider to this podcast. This is a snail.
So, yeah, this one is the first species I've worked with. Is the oboe giant snail. It only exists in the islands of São Tomé and Príncipe in the Atlantic Ocean. There are two tropical islands in Central Africa. Is a country, São Tomé and Príncipe, the second smallest country in Africa. And there are several types of giant snail, but this one is very special because first, it's left-handed. So most snails, if you put them in this direction, you will see that the hole where the body goes out, it's on the right, and they turn clockwise. But a lot of snails in São Tomé and Príncipe turn anti-clockwise, which is very atypical. So this is one characteristic that is very unique about these species. Another thing is that their eggs are as big as olives, and they produce very few eggs. They are like the pandas of the snails. They reproduce so slow, and they are associated with forest. If they don't have forest, it's very hard for them to survive. And they started to disappear very fast in the last decades, and they have a cultural significance as well for people. They are used as a medicinal, as food. In the past, we found accounts where they were used also against the spirits. So they were used also for spiritual reasons, and nobody knew why they were disappearing. And we started to use this as a flagship, as a symbol for native forests, because many species are facing the same. They are facing a lot of pressures, a lot of threats, and as quick as this, like not many as quick as this one, but we try to do something for her, him. It's hermaphrodite.
Okay, yeah. It's both.
It's both.
And I also saw that you also started to build a breeding facility for these snails in São Tomé and Príncipe, right?
Yeah, so it was a facility where we were not still bringing it to reintroduce it. It was to do for the first time a study about his reproduction and ecology. We didn't know anything about this. So the first time we arrived on the island, we didn't even know how to find them. Like first they were so common everywhere, and then all of a sudden they started to disappear. So we went to the forest with Gabriel, which was my partner in crime in the forest there, to understand where the snail was, and we didn't find them. And then we asked help to the hunters of Mona monkeys and wild boar there. And then we finally found a valley with these begonia, which are plants with very big leaves, and these are endemic, they only exist there. And they were hidden between the rocks. And it was the most amazing feeling, because like they look like rocks, exactly, and they were not scared. When you go to a snail, normally they hide, but they were not scared. They were just like, probably, I don't know if they were the first humans they ever saw. And when we arrived there, we understood that it was very critical, the situation. There were so few. But first we needed to understand what they eat, how do they grow, how they reproduce. So there were a lot of things to do before trying to do something for the species. So we created this facility, and we studied them for some years, and that's why we know about the eggs. They take up to 3 years to become matures. So they are...
Wow, that's a while.
They are so slow. And now we are continuing, and we will start the first facility for experiences on Príncipe Island.
Okay.
Because through genetic analysis, we understood that probably this species is only endemic to Príncipe Island, which is a smaller island. Amazing. I don't know if you have ever been, but it's like, the nature is like unbelievable. And then probably they were brought to São Tomé because they are used by people. But if this is the case, this means that most of the genetic diversity of the species is only held on Príncipe Island, which is the smaller one. So conservation efforts have to be targeted on the smaller islands and not the bigger, as we were doing before. So that's what we are going to do now with the Parque Natural, the Príncipe Natural Park and Fundação Príncipe, which are acting for the protection of a lot of species there.
Okay, and I guess it also helped you to go to São Tomé and Príncipe knowing how to speak Portuguese in a way? Because that's also something I'd like to know. Like, I mean, you're all over the world, whether it's these small African islands or the Arabian desert.
Yeah.
Why Portugal? Because it feels like, I mean, you won't find these here. Let's put it
Yeah.
like that.
It's weird, but when I was a child and was observing these species, I don't know if it like happened to you before, but I was feeling like I have to go. There is so much people I have to meet. There are so many species I have to meet. Like I felt like there was something here, like I have to go. I have to move. I have to go. And then I saw that Portugal has connection with a lot of places. At first, not for the most beautiful reasons, because of the colonial past, but a lot of relationships are kept. So the most beautiful thing about Portugal to me is that you can learn a language, Portuguese, and you can speak with people that are from Brazil or from Angola, from Mozambique, São Tomé and Príncipe, Timor-Leste, from Macau. So from different continents, only speaking one language. So right now, despite what happened in the past, right now we have the ability to connect with each other. We come from so very different background and talk and communicate and understand how to protect together the species, because this is a story, but in several parts of the world, the same story is happening in different facets and with different species. So yeah, we need to find a common language to understand what to do.
Yeah, sweet. And you have a spider with you as well. So this is the full combination. Spiders are just so freaky looking to me. I don't know, something about them. They're just so intense.
Yeah, well, it's natural that you feel this. Some spiders are dangerous to humans. Most spiders are venomous, and some of them are dangerous to humans. So that's probably fair enough that you are scared. But most of them, they are not dangerous. And for example, this one is a wolf spider.
Uh-huh.
It actually looks like this in the desert. It's a lycosa. And first time I started to study them, I was a specialist on snails, and then I was asked to study spiders through this project in Saudi Arabia with Biopolis. And there are so many different families and characteristics you have, from the jumping spiders with the big eyes, that they jump and they have an exceptional view. So they are mostly daily hunters. They do these very cute cocoons in the acacia tree in the desert where they enter and they hide. And when I find them, they are like out with these eyes. They are so cute. And then you have the wolf spiders. They are mostly active at night. They chase the prey and attack them, or they wait for the prey and attack them. So even within the spider, spiders. Within the spider, we have a world of animals and families that's never ending. My master student just finished her thesis on only 2 of the more than 26 families in the place where we studied in Saudi, and she took 1 year just to study 2 of these families. So we need so many people to know more about them and how climate change or the threats are affecting them and how they are risking to disappear. Sorry, now I'm talking a lot, and then you.
I'm fascinated by it. Please, I mean, I've never been so invested in spiders. So please go ahead.
Do you have anything? What do you think it's more scary about it?
I think it's just like I think we're also societally a bit like brainwashed to believe that they're a little bit scary from like movie depictions or like some just horror stories. But I think just something about like just how they have so many legs and they have these fangs, especially these ones, you're a little bit like, I don't know. It's especially because I think it's like this idea of not being able to really see them coming because they just hide or they're like somewhere like, and I think as they are venomous,
Mm-hmm.
partially, it's like this idea of, okay, you know, some of them are dangerous to humans, as you
Yeah.
say. It's like, maybe there's someone hiding in my shoe or something. It's like this
Yeah.
Australia thing as well,
Yeah, yeah.
where everyone is like, oh, I don't never want to go to
Yeah.
Australia because of all of the animals.
Yeah.
And I think spiders just have that look and feel that's also just a
Mhm.
little bit like, okay, you know, they're very black eyes and the fangs.
Mhm.
It's like, okay, this is some different type of species.
Yeah. That's reasonable. I understand this feeling, and they look unpredictable
Mm-hmm.
until you study them and understand what they do. If you understand more why they're moving away, where they are going, they look less unpredictable. You understand more what they are actually, why they are using my space, where are they going. So the thing about having a spider in your boot is true. You should always check your boots. This is what we do in the desert with the scorpions, especially. These are more dangerous. But then about the legs, it's true. Some of them, like as you see the jumping spider, they will have shorter legs and they allow them to jump. This has very long legs because they need to run. They chase the prey, so they need the long legs to run. But normally they will go around. For example, this one, they will do some tunnels, and sometimes they even decorate their tunnels around with sticks. Yeah, it's not really clear why they do it here. This in the desert. Sometimes they say it's for predators not to be less encouraged to enter in their home. But it's not very clear. So you will see these tunnels with decoration around, and then they are there with these eyes, and they have very big eyes here because this allows them to sow better, and they have the clipeus, which so it's a component of the eye that make you see them in the night. It's not used for that, but
We have another species entering.
whatever. Anyway, imagine that you are in the dark and you want to find spiders. If you have a light, you will see something shining, and normally is the wolf spiders because they have a component in the eyes that shine when it's brightened with the light. So that also makes them more visible and less like you are less scared about them because, oh, okay, I see these eyes. These are my friends, wolf spiders.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I guess, you know, as you say, the more you understand, the more you study, the more you build a relationship with an animal, the more you care for it. And I think that's also when the dangers to kind of start shifting because you also see the predictability of the animal.
Yeah.
And that's like, it's interesting that you also share these field stories, and I'd love to know more. Like, what was something that you observed in a species that you were studying that just really blew you away when you saw it in the wild?
Well, okay. There are a lot of things that I've saw. Selecting one. Okay, so there was this one species called, the genus is called the Cebrennus, and it's a spider that's very big, color of the sand, and it's very hard to find. They are normally found in the dunes of the desert, and they live in tunnels under. So it's very hard to find them because they are underground. And I couldn't find this, but there were records that this species lives there. So I said to my friends, whoever finds one win an ice cream, but nobody could find. And then once I was there, like just very tired in the dunes, and a big wasp, a very big wasp, goes out from a tunnels, like with these massive spiders. So the wasp could immobilize the spider, and it hunted the spider, and it was the only way for me to like. I saw this huge wasp with this big spider going out from the tunnels and ready to fly away with the spider to eat him. And then I managed to go there and take at least a leg of the spider to do genetics. So so that was like, whoa, at the end, a wasp found the species that was missing from the sampling, and I will never imagine that. So that was fine, but also a little bit terrifying. But
and is it now whenever you have an ice cream and a wasp tries to eat it, you're like, you deserve it. It's okay.
Take this for you.
Yeah. Okay, wow. I mean, nature can be so cruel. Just even that description, it's like, it's normal.
Yeah.
But that's also intense.
Yeah, it was intense because I was not used to it. I would never imagine this to happen. So I was like, what is this? And then, yeah, thank you, Wasp, that you find it. And I really love the relationship with not the relationship, but the jumping spiders, because sometimes it was hard to find them. And there was this time that I was very, very tired, and I just laid under these acacia tree bushes, and I was looking just up, and 2 jumping spider came to me. Like they started to climb, and then they went down, down, down until the last branch of the acacia tree. And they were literally, I think they were observing me, because there was no other explanation. Like they came out and came to me, and I was like, whoa, that was the easiest observation I made, because I didn't even have to search for them. They came to me. And it was amazing to be able to work in the desert, because there was just that and was enough. Like we were there completely immersed with the landscape, with these species, and it was just us. No noise around. It was amazing. You have a lot of free time to just be with yourself and the animals and plants you were encountering. So every meeting was kind of meaningful to me, to understand more about them. There was no noise or other things to do.
That's no noise sounds like a dream right now. It's very special. I mean, also the way that you put it. And I would love to also go deeper in that. Like, what is something that you realized about yourself observing animals? Because I think it's kind of funny, this idea that the spider was also observing you, but also what do you feel like you were able to observe about yourself whilst looking at animals?
I think that it confirmed what maybe I was taught when I was a child, that I'm not worth more. I'm just as worth as the other species. I'm just cohabiting with others. So it's like my way of seeing, my way of living, my way of using the space is not more important than the way that another species is doing it. And I think it was Lynn Margulis, she said that, like, we are all here at this present time because we found a way to some superpower, this myth thing, but to survive until this present moment despite the changes. There are always changes in the environment. There's going always to be some perturbation. We are never in balance. There's always some change. And despite this, we can find a way to survive, to adapt, and to stay here. So each of us co-living in this moment has his own way, his own skill. And there's a lot that I can learn from the skill of others that they can say more about who we are as a collective on this planet and how we are facing these changes and we are evolving together.
Okay, beautiful. I mean, and then that would kind of also get me into the direction of if you paint a picture now of the future, because talking so much about the past, what do you think is a dream of yours on how you would like this world to evolve? I think you already said a beautiful sentence with the realization that we're all worth equally. You know, the spider and the snail are worth as much as we are. We're just cohabiting this space.
Yeah.
But I'd love to know what you kind of would dream of, what the future could look like.
I think maybe a dream that will summarize everything in the animal world, plant world, whatever other world, or even within our only species, is to be free, let the other live, like learn about them, and just let live, just respect what the other is going through. Like, don't prohibit, don't to be free to just exist and have enough respect to coexist with others is a dream of mine. Like, I would really like a place where people, despite their age, despite their sex, gender, or despite any, if they have species that have 2, 8, no legs, they just cohabit, and it's very simple, actually. You just need to let other live and like mind with your life and be respectful. And the most important thing, to be curious about the other. Like, why is it like, is he, she, it like this, them? When you're curious and you get to know them, get to know their story from their own point of view, then you start a relationship. You start to understand. And if you don't do this first step, it's always going to be hard to understand what is going on and how to co-live together.
Definitely. And I think it's also such an important part of living together in society, to just understand each other.
Yeah.
And to see that also be reflected in the animal kingdom and also through your study is also very interesting, because I think we are animals at the end of the day as humans. And I think to be in a position like you are, to just for years to study all of these different species and their behavior, it's interesting to hear that the more, or would you agree with, the more you study it, the more you realize even further, as you put it, that there is just this equilibrium in nature that seems to exist, like this equalness of worth, as you put it. And I think from that study of the animals, what would be something that you would really be able to tell to others, to like leave an imprint? I mean, you're also an environmental educator and also focusing on sharing that passion and inspiration to others. What would be like your main thing that you would like to educate people on when it comes to the study of animals and the study of humans in the same regard?
But probably it's always on that way to always keep your eyes, ears, nose, whatever sense you have open, and not limited to what is your own bubble and reality. When you are a child, you can do it this better, and then as you grow up, you create barriers that you cannot see sometimes. Somebody else created for you in the environment where you have grown. So when you can deconstruct this, and you can really like let your mind and heart be open to others, whatever the other is, then it will tell you a lot about yourself as well, and how to interact in a way that it doesn't trigger you any bad emotion, or even if it does, it's okay to explore this emotion. Like, why am I feeling this way? What does this make me feel? And this is more in or maybe more general way. But I hope curiosity never ends. When we come into apathy, when we enter into apathy, then there is no action. And even if we are totally diving into a lot of very bad news, and I'm so sorry for the next generations, because if I was born now and being in the school now, it's so much coming to me that how can I deal with all this information? How can I even do something in all this sea of bad news? But that's just a part of what is happening. We are progressing through fairness and equality, and there are small steps that are being taken, and they are not spotlighted a lot. And you guys, for example, are doing this. You are spotlighting stories that are not necessarily bad. Like, there are good side of what is happening in the world. So when you keep focusing on this. You know what is going on in the world, okay? There's a lot of noise, but keep focusing on also how to improve it, how to make it fair for everyone. Then there is still a little bit of hope. So I hope the new generation can do this, because it's very hard when you are born already inside this noise and this confusion.
Definitely. But thank you, first and foremost. And I think you're doing very similar work by also highlighting these species that don't get the same love as baby seals, puppies, or pandas, but that equally deserve to get cherished.
Mm-hmm.
And so which species is the one that you have your eyes on next, that you want to explore further and that you want to nourish and conserve?
Okay, so it's at this moment, I'm continuing to work on the spiders and snails, but the species I'm focusing more is our species.
Okay.
I'm the most biased, but especially I'm working with a group of women to increase women representation in conservation and in field work, in environmental education, with a focus in São Tomé and Príncipe, my colleagues and friends there. So now we have a group called Forest Tales, and they are doing this work through the Gulf of Guinea Biodiversity Center. And there are some, like, for the three of us, maybe it's easy to do this to move around, to do this work. We have a lot of, I mean, I don't know you enough, but we have a lot, sometimes we come from a lot of privilege, but there are, for some people, it's less easy. For example, inside the household, there can be some issues, gender issues related. So we are trying to first address how can, as women, protect ourselves within the household, in society. And then when this is done, how can women find in nature a place to be safe and to protect nature? So if you cannot first protect yourself, you will be less prone to protect others. So that's the first step, to get to know yourself, to know how to protect yourself. And then, okay, now I can be in nature and I know how to stay, how to be here, and I know how to have the skills to do something in biodiversity conservation. So we are working with sociologists, psychologists for this first part, and then with educator, conservationists, and even a storyteller for the second part, to do a training for to be a conservation assistant or environmental educator in these initiatives, 2 years initiatives with National Geographic. And so, yeah, people.
Amazing. That sounds so interesting and also necessary, I think, to have the kind of mixture and balance, to have the space in order to really focus on conservation for us as well, and to give humans also the space that they need in order to actually do this important work. And I mean, I'd be very curious, what was it that made you decide, or that made you feel like it's important to also conserve and empower women in that space to also come together and conserve nature? I assume it was also then during the time that you were looking for snails, right? Because like it's the same place.
Yeah.
But what's the origin story behind this project, the Forest Tales?
So it's about fairness, and how the same thing I was doing, my friends and colleagues couldn't do. So our opportunities were different, and that doesn't make a lot of sense. It doesn't make a lot of sense to continue working in protecting nature and doing environmental education, awareness, where the people that are actually have to be entitled to do that cannot do this, because they have more important issues to deal with daily. So every time I go to work in a place, the idea is that then I will not be necessary anymore. It's transitory. I go and then I will go back. So there is a need to leave a space where the people can continue to do this by themselves. There is a very hard story, like a friend of mine, we lived together for all those time that I was in São Tomé, for some years that I was going back and forth. And then it was amazing. But maybe I cannot talk directly about this, but there was a case of domestic violence. And then I was thinking, what is the worth of being here and working on this if I cannot if we cannot do this together, if we cannot see that there are other problems that speak louder sometimes? So there was the way to integrate them, engaging people that cannot do this because of these problems, to protect species that are also overlooked. So to find in nature a little bit of space that is safe to do this, to focus on something else, but at the same time without putting all the problems under the carpet and addressing them with the sociologists and psychologists. So do this dual work at the same time, to understand that they have a group where they can be themselves, they can be free to talk, they can be then free to explore nature with these curious eyes without bringing this heavy baggage every time that we do this. We should be in nature like in a joyous way, like free and without worrying so much about everything else that we carry with us.
Of course. It's such a beautiful project, and I mean, I'm sure even though I think there's also a lot of personal stories attached to it, I think it's important, because ultimately that is also the equalness that we need to have as humanity, as this weird position that we have where we decided to just copy birds and fly through the skies ourselves, as we're often reminded here. It's important to create a base layer that's safe and that allows us to also really dive further and go deeper into this type of study. So it's amazing to get to know you and the work that you do and the study that you bring forth. And I'm sure myself, I can only speak for me, but also the audience is very excited to also hear more about your study. Is there any way for them to also keep up with the work that you're doing? Any website or any platform that you use where people could follow and see the journey that you're on?
Yeah. So we have the Forest Giants Project, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, the website, and the Gulf of Guinea Biodiversity Center. They're doing work on not only snails, also other animals. Then on Biopolis, Biodeserts group, we have social media. We publish a lot of things about, for example, my colleagues going to find some small rodents, to catch them. It's fun. You have to check. And and also for the work, I'm doing a work with Nova, Lisbon University. So we have on LinkedIn a website, a page of Restore ID projects that's with different, but this is another story, but sorry.
No, it's all good. But definitely also we will put the links together and they're able to just see them in
with
the
the desert,
description.
the forest, whatever they want on that day.
Exactly. Pick your landscape.
Pick your landscape and check.
Thank you so much, Martina, for joining us, and good luck on your next adventures.
Thank you.
And then we'll see all of you in the next episode of this Explorers podcast. Thank you very much.